Increasingly, we have been hearing about major changes occurring in our military by the Biden administration, such as producing maternity combat uniforms for women, purging conservatives from the ranks, educating our military in the woke culture, behind-the-scenes efforts to nationalize the National Guard, etc. These are the latest revelations, but more serious things have been going on in our military for 160 years, and most Americans have not noticed it or have never been allowed to learn about them in our schools and history books, such information having been continually purged from the record. A person cannot really understand what's going on without understanding our history, as well as our current events. The effort by the John Birch Society to bring facts forward to the American people, whether 100 years old or of a current nature, have set us apart and led to attacks against us. Indeed, the gods of the Internet have stifled our New American Magazine reach from over 2 million people in a month down to just over 70,000, and they are threatening to cut us off the Internet entirely. Again, we need to know history as well as current events. For instance, in regard to our military, how many people are aware of the numbers of communist generals in the United States Army during the Civil War? Such men as Joseph Wedemeyer, August Willich, Carl Schurz, etc., about 100 of them, many personal friends of Karl Marx. How many know that one of the undersecretaries of war was Charles Dana, a leader in the communist movement in the United States and a participant in the Communist Revolution in Germany in 1848 while there as an American carrying money to communist writers that wrote for the New York Tribune? Later, under President Ulysses S. Grant, the Secretary of War was Alphonso Taft, co-founder of the secret society at Yale, Skull and Bones. For a long time, the U.S. military has had an adverse influence within its ranks. Now, the average man and officer in our military was a patriotic American, but his leaders have not always been so. This book, To the Victor Go the Myths and Monuments, documents much of this early history. Now fast forward to our lifetime. Most of the communist infiltration into our military has been hidden, but not the deep state apparatus which has been alive and well in our military for decades, specifically the Council on Foreign Relations and its allies, who want a new world order, a one-world government, and the surrender of our military to the United Nations. CFR members in the State Department and military ran our war in Vietnam, the first war we lost, not on the ground or in the air, but at the negotiating table. Our men won the victories, and these hard-fought victories were given away by the likes of CFR member Henry Kissinger, a supposed Republican. We go into great detail regarding these facts in our book, In the Shadows of the Deep State. We demonstrate that, by and large, the senior officials in charge of our foreign policy and military have been CFR members. One example was the first commander of our forces in Afghanistan, General David H. Petraeus, member of the CFR, member of the Atlantic Council, director of the CIA, a Bilderberg attendee, who became the leader of the CFR plan to merge all of North America, Canada, the United States, and Mexico into a North American Union. He has been such a key man in the deep state that his violation of intelligence laws during his illicit love affair didn't harm him at all. Trump knew enough about the deep state to oppose it. He didn't know enough to defeat it. If Trump would have known more about the deep state and what organizations and personalities comprise the deep state, he wouldn't have appointed men like General James Mattis, Mark Esper, or Chris Miller as Secretary of Defense. Mattis is very close to Robert B. Zoellick, a consummate deep stater, member of the CFR, Trilateral Commission, Bilderberger, Atlantic Council, an international banker, etc. Mattis accompanied Zoellick to a Bilderberger meeting prior to being appointed Secretary of Defense. The two other gentlemen appointed by Trump were members of the CFR. Our military apparatus is full of such people. I recall having a conversation with a full bird colonel who commanded an organization in the military and had several generals under him. He, however, never received his star. After talking to him for a while, I realized why. He was not only a patriot, but a very knowledgeable one, not the kind of people Bush or Obama wanted to elevate into a generalship. The background of the last century of these problems are contained in this book, In the Shadows of the Deep State. The 1800s communist infiltration into our military is in To the Victor Go the Myths and Monuments. If you have not read these books, you should, and then get others to do likewise. Conservative pundits do not reveal these facts to their listeners. It's up to us to do so as soon as possible and then enlist them into our epic undertaking as members. History is important. Now, next week I'll be back and I'll be talking about the current prejudice against Asians in the United States, who's behind it and why.